Okay, the meeting of the Water Commissioners is called to order February 20th, 2025 at 6 p.m. and is being recorded. Chairman Ed Johnson present.
Commissioner Dave Mesmore present.
Commissioner John Kane present.
Randy Brown, DPW Director here.
John Goddard, Assistant DPW Director.
Beryl Wagner, DPW Office Manager, present.
Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Okay, seeing none. Okay, John, Dave, if you read the minutes of this January 16th meeting,
Yes. I read the minutes. I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
have a second.
Second the motion to accept the minutes as written.
All in favor, Ed Johnson, aye.
Dave Mesmore, aye.
John Kane, yes.
Motion carries. Okay. We have two elderly rate applications, 12 Castle Street, 12 Gerald Lane. They both meet all the requirements. I have a motion.
I make a motion to accept the two elderly rate applications.
I'll second the motion to accept the two elderly rate applications.
All in favor, Ed Johnson, aye.
John Kane, yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay. Monthly commitments, we'll sign them afterwards. Randy,
Just a few things. So we have John Goddard with us today. He's about a month ago, we started as the Assistant DPW Director. So we wanted to pop in and say hi and introduce himself. I think you've seen John around. He's been working for DPW for about 5 years now as Stormwater Coordinator. And then Dick retired in the summer. And so John absorbed a lot of his responsibilities. So he'll be working with the water department as well as all the other departments moving forward. So he's now officially full-time with DPW, although is still with town planner. He's kind of filling in that role until they transition to a new town planner. So he's
Okay.
still doing some hours there, but
Good.
so you'll see John around.
Good.
He's sitting at the office next to me. If you ever pop in, so
Yep.
he'll be involved in all of our projects. A lot of our planning projects. Right now he's working on our water withdrawal permit.
Okay.
Pulling some numbers together for that. And then any other support that, the water department needs, he'll be
Great,
providing.
great.
that
Appreciate it.
So. Next item is Time Bond is still working on our basement inspections. They did 4 days of inspections at the end of January or early February. So we had a total of 122 inspections, and then in addition, there were 52 residents that did a self-inspection. So we got some good response to that next round. I'm hoping that's the end of the basement inspections. We have enough data, and we can input that into the model, and that'll be sufficient. We do still need to get some information on the public side, so before the meter. So we are doing some vacuum excavations in the summer, and hopefully that will fill that end of that requirement. So
Okay.
we're hoping that this last push for the vacuum excavation will be the last that we need to do for any of these inspections, and we can move on from that lead service line inventory.
Have they found any lead service lines?
No,
No.
not that we expect any. We've had 2 brass services and a handful of galvanized. But nothing that requires replacement either. So
Okay.
there are anything that's lead requires replacement.
Right,
But
right.
we had, but we haven't triggered that requirement at all. So that's a good thing.
Yep.
We did submit the FY 26 budget at the last meeting. We talked about that, and we did submit that. Let's see, there's always a joint meeting with the Select Board and Finance Committee that has not yet been posted, but I believe it's gonna be March 1st or 10/15 will be our meeting for the water commissioners.
So Beryl, just remind me, would you, when you found out exactly what it is, so because I always attend that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty certain it'll be, and this is a week from this weekend.
Right,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty certain, but it has yet to be posted. or
Okay.
finalized, so. And the last thing is Jeff Vitabelli is our backhoe inspector. He did his inspection for 24 and he'll come back in spring.
I would like to be at that budget hearing if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Not in lieu of Ed, but with Ed.
Sure. Absolutely.
I'll CC you on the reminder.
Thank you.
So the budget's all day,
Yeah.
all morning, I've been in the past.
Not for the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, so so DPW has, I usually have mine and then at 9:30 or so, and then we'll transition to water department, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Work order summary, Berkshire Avenue, what, meter install and a possible leak inspection, okay? Okay. Old business, anything under old business? New business, Randy.
So at the last meeting, remember we talked about the FY 26 budget and going up on a couple line items. So what I also mentioned, if we go up on some items, probably gonna have to revisit the water rates. So the last couple of years, our revenue has matched our expenses pretty well. But with this year going up a little bit, I do expect, we should revisit our rates here. So what I did is I gave you this summary sheet here with our projected FY 26 expenses on one side and the revenue on the other side at the top of this sheet here, and then we're gonna be a shortfall of about $28,000. So based on salary increases for FY 26, we did go up on our contracted equipment line item. Our line item for sprinkler water and sewer went up. And then we also put money aside for water main improvements on North Long Yard Road. That was about $40,000. So between those items, our budget, I would expect to go up about maybe $50,000 to $60,000 over last year. So which will give us a little shortfall moving forward. So I do think it's fair to look at the rates. We haven't adjusted rates in over 2 years. It was
Okay.
fall of 2022, last time we had a rate adjustment. And I think the next page you have in front of you shows the current rates, and then I think even has the historical rates behind that when they were all adjusted. So I gave you 10 different scenarios here. There are hundreds of scenarios we can look at. But I would suggest at a minimum, we go increase the rates by 3%. And that will basically cover our increase in expenses for FY 26, which is option 2 or scenario 2 on the sheet.
Yep.
If you want to go up a little higher than that, I wouldn't be opposed to it. What I would do is whatever surplus we have with that rate increase, I'd put that towards our next capital project. We talked about doing some water main work, FY 27 and beyond. I would look at whatever that number is, say it's $40,000, $50,000, maybe more. I'll try to find a project that fits within that parameter. Probably at that point, it'd probably be a larger project with a borrowing schedule where a payback is like that $40,000, $50,000 a year. So these are for your discussion. What I try to give you a rate increase somewhere between 3% and 10%. So I've got different scenarios where, we have 3 different tiers, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
The scenario 2 was 3% increase, like 3% increase across all 3 tiers. Scenario 3 is a 5% increase across all the tiers. Number 4 is a 10% increase, and then I have kind of mix and match on the other scenarios for your consideration. So
Yeah.
I don't know where your thoughts are. Like I said, at a minimum, I would suggest going up 3% over last year to cover this year's.
So we definitely gotta do that. We definitely gotta go at least 3%.
Yeah, I think raising rates in a regular interval and not having, to have to raise rates to cover something, down the road is probably the smart move. I think the lowest tier, I would like to keep that as low of a rate increase, because I think that's where a lot of people are at, everybody
Right.
uses that first tier, and a lot of people don't reach that initial 15,000 gallons.
Right.
And then, so I like this 3, 5, and 10, because once you're over 30,000, I mean, you're a pretty big water user. And I mean, realistically, your water bill isn't gonna be a huge impact to your daily financials.
That's number 9 you're looking at, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it gives us, that 75,000 surplus. And then next year, that's not, you're probably gonna be 60,000 surplus and whatnot, and we'll be able to cover some type of project or some type of major incident that happens. I know other towns, when they have a water main break, you exhaust all your money, and then you're looking to borrow money to fix that. And I think if we could keep a surplus to take care of those things before they become a problem.
Dave?
Yeah, what's the, what did you say the price tag is on that North Long Yard?
40,000.
40,000?
Yep.
And that's already covered.
No, well, that will be in the budget, FY 20.
That'll be in the budget.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was in the budget, so.
Yeah, so it's shown in the FY 26 budget on this item here. Yeah.
Would that be, would we be able to get enough to do that water line to the tanks that we were talking about?
I think that'd be one of the next big projects to talk about.
Yeah, that's gotta get
So
done.
with this, surplus here, so we're not gonna see that full surplus until the end of the year. So
Right,
I would use this and then use that as the next springboard for the next project. In FY 27 likely.
Yeah, that's gotta get done.
Yeah.
That's gotta get done.
Yeah, there's definitely some improvements that need to be made throughout the system that are gonna take quite a bit of money out of it.
Mhm.
So to not be ready for it would be silly on our end. Is there capacity for the water department or DPW themselves to do some of these projects? You know, bring them in-house to some extent rather than,
We're limited by the size of our equipment too, so we don't have a big excavator.
Yeah.
Where we can do, a lot of, digging and trenching in one day, so we are limited in that sense. We do smaller projects in-house.
Right.
Yeah.
But if we were doing a larger, like water main replacement, I'd probably bring in someone who can, do it a little more quickly than we can in-house.
in the long term, would it be beneficial for us to look at trying to expand like the in-house capabilities to do stuff like that, or? I mean, some towns are strict, we hire it out, and then other towns are, trying to bring it inside. I just don't know if the town of Southwick has that kind of ability to expand the capacity, or if it's worthwhile.
We could look into it. I think the equipment is one of the big things. We have, an excavator. But not a large excavator, we have a mini X and backhoe loader.
Right.
So we can do, like I
That's
said, so if we had the right equipment, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like with the line up to the water tanks, right? I mean, that's pretty much cross country, if you will. It's up a semi-dirt road. If we could that's something I feel like if we brought that in-house, you could buy that excavator just for the savings, on prevailing wage and whatnot, if that was a project that the town themselves could
Mhm.
take on. I mean, cause you triple the labor rate, and then the cost of the machine, is negligible at that point. So,
Yeah, we can run some numbers and see how that plays out. We have a staff of 3, so
yeah, well.
we still have other
Right.
responsibilities, day-to-day responsibilities that have to be done.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
So-
Then you gotta make sure we have a guy qualified to run a big excavator like that too.
Mhm.
Backhoe's one thing, but big excavator, well, that's a whole different
Yeah,
ballgame.
oh, you can throw anybody in if they got the license,
Yeah, right. No comment.
but I think there's gonna be maybe more opportunities to do bigger projects and the amount of water main you can lay per foot, per dollar per foot as the town versus a private contractor. I think you get a lot more length and maybe to some extent, a little bit better oversight of the project
Sure,
and more flexibility, to not have to go out to bid and go through that whole process.
right. Yeah, I mean, it's something to look into. We can certainly do that.
Maybe that would be part, once we have an idea of, hey, we have these 10 projects, we need to lay 2 miles of water main throughout the town. Then it becomes a point where maybe we hire another guy, buy a machine and kind of start doing some of that stuff ourselves.
Mhm.
And then, DPW, same thing, but if they had access to that equipment.
Right,
And if the management would want to take on that kind of responsibility to do those projects, that's of course another.
Mhm.
Right,
Another
right.
aspect
Yeah, we can
of
look
it.
into that too, yeah.
Yeah.
And we can look into it, definitely, we can look into it, see what numbers we got. Is there any more discussion on the rate increase, motion?
I kind of like the 9 situation.
I do too.
9 scenario too, so. I make a motion to increase the rates by scenario 9, 3% on tier 1, 5% on tier 2, and 10% on tier 3.
Got a second?
I'll second the motion to increase the rates based on the scenario 9 with tier 1, 3%, tier 2, 5%, and tier 3, 10%.
All in favor, Ed Johnson, aye.
Big Mizzle, aye.
John Kane, yes.
Motion carries.
Just to clarify, these will be effective April 1st.
Right, the next.
The next bill, the next full bill
Right.
cycle, these will be in
Yep.
effect, yeah. Okay.
And I think if we have this, relatively small increase and it becomes the pattern and the norm, then it's a smart increase and we don't get ourselves in a real bind.
Yeah, like Westfield.
Oh, yeah. And that's the problem, right? Once they exhaust their funds, now they can't do those small projects those little upgrades that if they could do don't become a huge project in a year or two.
Okay, anything else on the new business? The only thing I got, Randy, are the water guys, when they get time, are they still gonna keep digging out the hydrants?
Yeah, Kevin's been doing that. I don't know if
Okay,
you saw
yeah, I
him
saw
the other
Kevin
day.
the
He was
other
on
day,
Keating
yeah.
Hills Road,
Yeah,
he's
okay.
jumping a loader and whenever he can.
Yeah, no, I saw him the other day, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing to keep up on, you know.
Yeah.
I don't see any more snow in the future, but still, that's frozen solid, you know,
Yeah,
so. And minutes count,
they do, absolutely.
okay. Anything else on the new business? Next meeting date.
The 20th is the third Thursday.
March 20th. You okay, Dave? March 20th,
Yes, I believe so.
Dave?
That
Hey,
should be,
John?
yeah, it should be good.
Okay. Okay, can I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A
Second
second,
motion to adjourn.
okay. Johnson, aye.
John Kane, yes.
Meeting is adjourned.